Thank you. I would now like to take some questions from the media. First up is Catherine Forster from GB News.
Thank you, Catherine Forster, GB News. The Prime Minister has just said that, effectively, he's going nowhere. And he's said he wants to clarify his comments yesterday, that what he was actually saying was simply that he knew publicly that Epstein and Mandelson knew each other. Does that begin to cut it?
Not in the slightest. I forced him to make a confession yesterday, and he is backtracking now because he's a coward. The fact is, he saw security vetting that had information that every single person in this room would have realized made Mandelson unsuitable, and he still went ahead and appointed him because he thought he was being clever. We all saw that press conference where they were calling him, oh, our Peter, to us he's just Peter. They thought they could get away with it, and now it's all come out. So no, I'm afraid it doesn't cut it. I think what he said this morning was actually shameful. He should be apologizing for ignoring the security advice rather than apologizing for believing Mandelson. Next up is Joe Pike from BBC.
Joe Pike, BBC News. Kemi Badenoch, why didn't you say all of this 14 months ago when Lord Mandelson was appointed, when we knew he'd had a relationship post-conviction with Epstein, when we knew he'd stayed at the New York apartment, where we'd seen the photos of the two trying on clothes together, and where your political ally and mentor, Michael Gove, said Mandelson was, quote, the best choice to handle Trump? Isn't the truth that you are acting outraged today, but when it all mattered 14 months ago, you, like so many other MPs, chose to look away?
That is complete nonsense. First of all, Ian Duncan Smith spoke up and said this was wrong. Caroline Dinenage spoke up and said that it was wrong. Lots of Conservative MPs said it. We are a strong team. I don't need to say every single thing at every single moment, especially as I believe that the Prime Minister had carried out security vetting. He's the one who had the information. So I don't understand how this is now the Tories' fault. I think that's completely preposterous, okay? This is Labour's fault. Rob Powell from Sky News.
Hi, thank you, Rob Powell, Sky News. Are you saying then you want a general election now, if you were talking about a vote of no confidence? And if there was to be one, how do you think you'd do?
Britain is not being governed. That is what this speech is about. We need a better government. Labour was voted in with a huge majority. They have a majority of about 160. They can't get anything done. Something is wrong. And yes, while we're all reading the tittle-tattle of who said what in the Epstein files, our country is going backwards. That is what worries me. If a general election is on the cards, we'll take it because we know we will do a better job. But what we need to make sure is that the public can see what the alternatives are. This is not a game. We're not throwing dice. This is about people's lives. And I am very worried about what is happening in our country. I am very worried about some of the nonsensical legislation that is going through Parliament, what they're doing on veterans, what they're doing on Chagos. And that's before we get to the pretend private members' bills, which are really government-sponsored bills around things like assisted dying, things that were never in the manifesto. Something is going horribly wrong, and we can see a government that is distracted. It's all about their leadership ambitions. None of the cabinet secretaries are delivering anything at all. Right now, my belief is that there won't be a general election until 2029, because most of those Labour MPs know that they will not be coming back. But they at least have the opportunity to do better. They can pick someone else or force the government to do better, rather than putting their heads in the sand. That is what I'm asking them for. Next is Harry Horton, ITV.
Thank you, Harry Horton, ITV News. I've spoken to lots of Labour MPs over the last few days, and some of your own MPs as well, and many of them are worried that actually this scandal, and ones we've seen under your party previously, actually undermine trust and faith in all politicians. And is that something you're worried about?
It is something that I'm worried about. As I said, we made mistakes, but we acknowledged them, we learned from them, and as people will remember, we tried to fix them. We don't need to go back into what happened several years ago to see that we were actually trying to fix things when we saw the leader was going wrong. Labour are too scared to do that. And yet they can't even do basic things like make modest changes in the welfare budget. They can't get any legislation through. We're spending most of our time having general debates and going nowhere. Something is seriously wrong. Britain is not being governed, and that is what we need to think about. How do we get ourselves into a better place? Aggie Chambre from LBC.
Aggie Chambray, LBC News. Ms Badenoch, do you worry that this scandal and the potential end of this administration could hasten or make more likely a Reform UK government?
Reform UK is more of the same. They're the ones who actually have a former leader in prison right now. There is no reason that we should even think for a second that these Epstein files don't have something that might implicate them. A lot of Nigel Farage has mentioned multiple times, I'm not in the Epstein files. Nigel Farage has mentioned multiple times, so is his party treasurer, Nick Candy. People can go and investigate. But if people think that we're getting a clean government with reform, I think that that is for the birds. That is not what the country is asking for. They may be doing well because of protest votes, but we need to start having an honest conversation about how we can get a proper government. Helen William? PA? No? Okay. Tim Stanley, Daily Tea.
Thank you. Good morning. I have to stand. No, I don't have to stand up. Do I have to stand up? Okay, fine. I'm going to stand up for the camera. And now I've knocked my coffee over. No, don't worry about that. That's fine. Good morning. You've invited Labour MPs to kick out Keir Starmer and, quote, do better. Well, if they did do that, it's very likely they would replace him with Angela Rayner. Speaks for itself. What do you think of Angela Rayner? Do you really think she would make for a, quote, better government? And is there a risk that in defenestrating the Labour moderates, you're actually inviting a proper socialist to take over Britain?
So I think that is an excellent question. I'm not worried about Angela Rayner. I think that I can deal with Angela Rayner. The real... But you've hit upon something that is crucial. It doesn't matter who they change leader to, it's still going to be a Labour person. What we need them to look at is the mistakes that they've been making and how they can fix that. Whoever it is that they pick has to acknowledge that a lot of mistakes have been made. The country is not crying out for socialism. The country is crying out for competence and fixing the economy, putting money in people's pockets. Businesses are crying out for relief. They want the government to get the boot off their necks. It is not a coincidence that Labour MPs can't get into pubs and hairdressers at the moment. That is not because they're crying out for more socialism. What we want to see is them putting the British people back at the forefront of their minds. They're not thinking about any of the people out there right now. They're just thinking about themselves. So let's stop talking about Angela Rayner or West Streeting. Let's start talking about the people out there. That's what I'm worried about. Lucy Fisher, FT.
Ms Badenoch, the Conservatives have raised concerns about the links between Peter Mandelson and the US technology firm Palantir, which has gone on to win UK public sector contracts. Is there a wider problem here with political appointments for key ambassadorial roles if they go to people with complex business and corporate interests? Are you in favour of scrapping political appointments in favour of professional diplomats, or for introducing new safeguards to stop this kind of potentially conflicted interests? Thank you.
So our issue is not with Palantir or even Palantir and Peter Mandelson. It's the fact that the meetings were not minuted, so no one knows what was discussed. And then there was a direct grant of £240 million, not a tender, not a bid. That's something that needs to be looked at very, very closely. That's the issue. It's not really about the political appointment. Political appointments can be good, they can be necessary. Just don't pick the best friend of a convicted paedophile who's still been hanging out with him afterwards. That's the real issue. Max Kendicks, The Times.
Thank you. You say you're not in the files, but there is an email in the files suggesting that David Cameron's top aides tried to set up a meeting between him as Prime Minister with Jeffrey Epstein and Woody Allen in Paris. That meeting never ended up happening, but are you absolutely confident there are no connections between senior Conservatives and Jeffrey Epstein?
I'm a senior Conservative. I have a great shadow cabinet. A meeting that never happened, which somebody asked for, I don't think is particularly interesting or relevant. There are lots of people's names in those files. My name isn't in them. Neither is anyone in my shadow cabinet, as far as I'm aware. I think I don't think, James, are you in the files? No. No. Okay. I think we're good. Martin Beckford, the Mail.
Thank you. I was just wondering, what did you make of the police telling the government last night not to publish documents that they say might undermine their investigation into Peter Mandelson? Are you concerned that this might let Keir Starmer off the hook? Thank you.
So, it's a very interesting question. So Keir Starmer was leaning on that in his speech, saying, I really wanted to release all the files, but the police have asked me not to. He did not want to release the files. I asked him in September. He had plenty of time. He didn't release them. It wasn't until we used a parliamentary mechanism called a humble address that he realised that he couldn't get his MPs to back him, that he was forced to release the files. Now, the police have said that they don't want things released that may prejudice their case. I think that is fair enough. We're not interested in what Peter Mandelson got up to. The police can investigate that. We are interested in who knew what, when, and how the appointment came to be made. That has nothing to do with the criminal investigation. And if they're so scared, I'm very happy to go into a room and have a look and see myself so that we understand that. The Intelligence and Security Committee is a safe place. They see lots of top secret information all the time. But please do not let Keir Starmer confuse you by telling you that his appointment of a man with his associations with the paedophile was national security or international relations or it's a police investigation. He is hiding. He will do anything and everything he can to stay in office, and he is going to use every trick in the book. Do not buy it. He's been got banged to rights, and we need to make sure that the truth comes out and everything that went on is exposed. Yeah. Martin Brown, The Express.
Thank you. What should the public be most worried about? The fact that Keir Starmer gave Mandelson the job when he knew that he'd stayed matey with Jeffrey Epstein after his conviction, or the fact that we have a Prime Minister now who has no authority in his own party and within Parliament? Thank you.
Martin, I think it's both. This is why I'm making that offer to Labour MPs, that those of you who think this is untenable, and many of them do, I saw their faces at Prime Minister's questions. They looked sick as they were listening to him confess that he always knew. They know that there is a problem. Up until now, Britain has not been governed. All those examples I gave, their inability to get legislation through, the ridiculous budget of 2024, the worst budget of 2025, hitting pubs, small businesses, farmers, the endless U-turns. He hasn't been able to govern even during his supposed honeymoon period. There is no way he's going to be able to govern now. That is a serious problem. That is what I'm trying to draw attention to. That as salacious as all these details about Jeffrey Epstein and Peter Mandelson may be, we need to really think about what matters, what is happening to our country while these unserious people are dancing around the key issues and clinging to power in Downing Street, or whatever you might call it, because as you say, they are in office but not in power. Kitty Donaldson, The Eye.
Thank you. I was just wondering, do you think it would make any difference if Sir Keir Starmer sacks Morgan McSweeney? And secondly, is anyone in the cabinet you admire, Wes Streeting, for instance?
Is there anyone in the cabinet that I admire? No. Some of them are better than others. I think Shabana Mahmood is someone who shows that she's better than her colleagues. I doubt that they will ever let her have a go, but I think that she is at least honest about the problems that the country is facing and doesn't pander. Sorry, what was the beginning of your question? Would it make any difference if he sacks Morgan McSweeney? I think to some extent. I think that what has happened is so serious. Someone should go for it. Someone needs to take responsibility. That's why we asked for the files to be released. It's not so that we can read lots of juicy gossip about Mandelson. It is so that we know who took that decision and when, because it embarrassed our country on the international stage. It made us weaker from a national security perspective. It left us exposed. Someone needs to take responsibility. And all we're hearing from Keir Starmer is, Peter Mandelson lied to me. They're trying to put it all on Peter Mandelson. It is not all on Peter Mandelson. It is also on Downing Street. And I think that if it's not Keir Starmer, then it should be Morgan McSweeney. Both of them have a lot to answer for, and both of them are hiding. And finally, Noah Hoffman from The Sun.
Thank you, Kemi. Just quickly turning to crime and justice. A jury has acquitted 6 Palestine Action activists who mounted a raid on an Israeli defense company's factory. There are now some questions over potential tampering with the jury. You want to put out a strong message about criminal damage. I was wondering what you make of this situation and what actions you plan to take, if any, in response to it.
I believe you were talking about the case where a police officer's spine was broken. I think it's absolutely disgusting. I think that we have police officers and so many others who put themselves on the front line, and for people to attack them so viciously in that way and get away with it, that sends a very, very bad message about criminal activity, about our justice system. There should be an appeal. I think it needs to be looked at again. I haven't heard the allegations about jury tampering, but if we are a country where you can break the spine of a police officer and get away with it, then we are in serious trouble. And what I want to hear is what the government is going to be doing about it. And right now, they're not doing anything about it. They're not saying anything about it because they're all trying to delete their emails and worried about who's going to be caught in this scandal. This is what I'm talking about, that there's so many things that are being degraded. I have said that a lot in our country is broken. Our country is not broken, but a lot is. The politics is broken. There are a lot of issues in the judicial system. There are problems with borders. There are problems with public order. We need to start getting real solutions to that. Many of those things, we didn't fix properly in government. Some of them we did, but now is the time. We've come up with better plans. We have plans to have more police officers. We have plans to fix the borders to make sure that people who come in are people who should be here, and so much more. That's what I want us to be talking about. And people can disagree with what we're offering, but at least let's talk about the real issues. Instead, we're talking about whatever new milestone Keir Starmer has cooked up in the morning and what he may or may not have said to Peter Mandelson. Britain is not being governed. I think it is time that we get serious and get back to business. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.